Emily Greenow. She's going to come up and introduce Tina Descovich, and she's the local chapter chair for Moms for Liberty. All right?
I'm apologizing now. I am not a public speaker by any means, but that's okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Greenow. I serve as chapter chair for Moms for Liberty here in Collier. And anybody who wants to be a member, you don't have to be female. You can be male too. Thank you all for joining us today, this special luncheon. It is so encouraging to see so many engaged parents and community members gathered together. I'm here to introduce a woman whose leadership has inspired a movement across the country. The CEO and co-founder of Moms for Liberty, Tina Descovich, has been a strong and unwavering voice for parents' rights and empowering parents to stand up, get involved, and make a difference in their local communities. Her dedication, courage, and vision have helped bring parents back to the forefront of education rights where they belong. Thank you, Tina.
So, Tina, I'm going to ask you to come up now because nobody has any lunch yet. So they'll be paying more attention to you. Tina Descovich, Moms for Liberty.
Please tell me they're going to, don't wait for me to be finished to serve lunch. Can I order that? Because I do not want to be I am a foodie. And so I absolutely do not like to sit there and listen to a speaker. I'm like, just give me my food. I can listen while eating so please don't hold up lunch for me. That will make me very uncomfortable and make me rush. The other thing I need is someone to time this and give me a 5-minute warning can you do that for me, please? Thank you. Okay, I am so honored to be with you ladies today. I love speaking to women, and I was so moved by the chaplain. The founding mothers are a passion of mine. Our students across America don't learn about our founding mothers enough. Maybe we hear about Abigail Adams, and that is it. There is a plethora of founding women in this country that really ushered in the revolution. Mercy Otis Warren and others, her writings influenced, and she had to write under a pen name because she was a woman. The work that those women did inspires me every day, and I spend a great deal of time reading and studying them. You said two things that really stood out to me about the things I want to talk about today. One, the term revolutionary love. What does that even mean? You saw me. I was like, what? I asked to read what you just read about revolutionary love. What is that? And is that maybe a uniquely women feature? Is it something that we have innate, revolutionary love? I think maybe we do. There's nothing like the love between a mother and their child. The other thing you said that really stood out to me was what Benjamin Rush said. And I have not seen that quote before. And I am going to go after this and really read up on where he said that, what he was talking about. But according to the chaplain, Benjamin Rush said that mothers are the guardians of the future republic. Can you imagine what that feels like sitting there knowing you're the co-founder of Moms for Liberty? And Benjamin Rush said that mothers are the guardians of the future republic. I hope everyone in here knows that this is the 250th anniversary of America. Exactly. And I can't say what mothers did from the founding to 250 years, but I can speak to what mothers are doing these last 5 years, because this is also Moms for Liberty's 5th anniversary. We are very excited about that. Five years, yeah. People are surprised by that. They're like, seems like you've been around a lot longer, or holy cow, it's already been 5 years. Those are the two things I get. But January 1st, 2021 is when we launched. So January 1st of 2026, we are officially 5 years old. And so I want to talk to you about what we see going on in not just Florida, but the country, what we've seen go on the last 5 years, and kind of take you through a journey here a little bit. So, and I really want to tie that into this revolutionary love, because I believe that's exactly why so many moms have stepped up across the country to join this movement. 10 years ago, I had a 15-year-old, younger than that. He was in middle school, and he brought home an assignment that said 105%. He got extra credit. Great job, Braden. Underline. And he hands it to me. Great job, Braden. I'm like, you're a great kid. You're smart. You did it. Good job. And then it sat on the counter for a day or two, and it was a folded project, and I opened it up one night, and it said, "Wanted, Christopher Columbus, Crimes Against Humanity." And at this point, I'm just a mom. I've got this middle schooler. I've got a brand new baby. Nothing out of the ordinary, living my day-to-day life. And I just stood there, and I was like, that's not what I learned about Christopher. Like, what is happening? So in my usual fashion, I went on Amazon and ordered everything I could find on Christopher Columbus. Like, did I learn what was wrong? Like, did I not learn the right thing? Is this what is happening? I don't understand. And I read and read and read about Christopher Columbus, and it just put me down a rabbit hole of potentially what was going on in America. And I wasn't quite ready to go there. Like, what, Marxists are taking over and they're in our teaching colleges, and like this is settled in Satellite Beach, Florida? And no way. So, I tucked it away. I didn't really do much with it, but just kind of ping. Same kid gets to American government. He texts me from class and he says, "Mom, look at this." From the back of the textbook, the glossary of American governments, Satellite High School, Satellite Beach, Florida. The definition of Karl Marx, you ready for this? The father of capitalism. I am not lying to you. I have that saved on my computer in a folder that says really important stuff. To the Brevard Public Schools, we notified. They were shocked and appalled, and contacted the textbook company, who sent stickers for the thousands of books so they could cover it up and say who the actual father of capitalism was. I said, well, what about the textbooks all across the country? Well, they're just going to have to figure it out. Super. This is great. So I started to see a pattern, is what I'm saying. And I started waking up a little more and a little more. Ultimately, I ran for school board in Brevard and won. I served for 4 years. I really loved my time on the school board, but I saw a lot of concerning things, concerning assignments, concerning textbooks. It was very overwhelming. What I didn't have were parents involved, except for a few radical liberals that would show up and would be involved. In Florida, by state law, a school board has to bring forward every textbook that's adopted twice in a public forum. They have to announce it in the newspaper. The chair, which I had to serve as, you hit the gavel, would anyone like to speak about this book? And you have to sit there silently and wait. And then you have to ask again, would anyone like to speak about this book? You have to do it for 2 meetings. For 4 years, no one would speak about any of the books. I would put out emails. I'd put it all over my social. I would beg people. There's no way one school board member can review all of the curriculum, all the books, all 12 years, all subjects. It's just not humanly possible. It takes community members taking the time, being plugged in and engaged. Some other experience as well as on the school board. It was right after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas massacre, and we were dealing with school security. I'd have 1,000 Moms Demand Action protesters in there. I'm from Red Brevard County. All of the school board members, the sheriff, everybody wanted armed guards in our schools. We didn't get the armed guards we wanted in the schools because there was 1,000 protesters from Moms Demand Action week after week, and everybody on my board caved. I couldn't get the Republican Party to show up. I couldn't get none of them. I would call, please, just somebody come speak and support us so that we can hold our ground here. I couldn't get any action from conservatives, not in textbooks, not in school security, not in anything in education. And so in 2020, I ran again. And height of COVID, facing all those things. And I lost. I lost by a huge margin to a radical liberal in Red Brevard. It's never happened before, and it has never happened since. But it was a huge wake-up call to me. The Democrat Party, the state Democrat Party, and the state teachers union targeted my race and another one in Sarasota. They put it all over national news. that they had done so. So they had them driving across the state to come knock doors for my opponent while I was in 14-hour meetings trying to figure out how to open schools and do things of that nature. So she won. I beat her on election day. I beat her in early voting. She killed me in mail ballots. For those that are thinking, oh, she cheated. No, she legitimately killed me in mail ballots. They bust people in who knock doors. I know this because my mom is a registered Democrat with a 0% voting record. They hit my mom's door 3 times trying to get her to get a mail ballot and vote. They outworked me. They outworked the Republicans. They outworked everyone, and they won. But, all of this is like a learning playground for me. I've got kids with radical ideology being taught to them my own. I serve on a school board. I see that I can't get parents elected. I see how the left works. Moms Demand Action, 1,000 people. Red for Ed. They want to raise, 1,000 of them show up in red t-shirts. I'm learning why I lost my election. And we're watching, at this time, all of us are watching what's happening in America. So we know there's indoctrination happening in schools. So somebody's putting this stuff in there after our kids, trying to destabilize America and what we believe and know. But then we start to have these marches in the streets and the rise of Black Lives Matter. And I still didn't really, I was like, something didn't feel right. Like as a woman, you have these innate feelings of something is not right, but I couldn't quite figure it out. It wasn't quite all adding up in my brain. I voted for our DEI director, one of my last votes before I got off the board. I had no idea what DEI was. Sounded good to me, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? All of you now are like, I can't believe you did that. But the first time you heard diversity, you were like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And so, yeah, I voted for it, one of my last votes. One of the last things I did on the board, though, is they invited me to a training for all the leadership in the district. So principals, the district leaders, and the guy got on stage and said, well, I just want to talk to you guys about what happened in America in 1619. And at this point, I'd already lost my election and I was in that lame duck period. And I just slumped down in my seat and I thought, it's here. It's here. I didn't catch on quick enough and I'm out. And so what am I going to do with what I know? What I believe, what I see happening in America. And so I got together with 2 other school board members in the state, one that wasn't running again and one that was still sitting on a school board. And we were going to start this organization that didn't have a name, but we were going to help moms in Florida organize and straighten up this mess in Florida. And we launched January 1st of 2021. Within 2 weeks, somebody called from New York. Can I start a chapter? It's really bad up here. And I said, I don't know anything about education in New York. I don't know how it functions. I know a lot about Florida. My co-founder at the time said, this really isn't ours to keep. Moms need help. We need to figure it out. So we said, sure, you could start in New York. Next day, Maryland called. Next day, California called. And before you knew it, we're at 5 years with 300 chapters, 130,000 of these moms, and we are in 48 of the 50 states. And what we're seeing in America is that there is a concerted effort, and you guys have seen it. I don't think I need to go into all the things that we've been watching over the last 5 years that we now know have been going on for decades. We've uncovered and we've uncovered and we've uncovered. There's two very important things going on that we need to pay attention to. And one is the attack on parental rights, and that's Moms for Liberty's mission, to defend parental rights at all levels of government. And we started seeing this the tail end of while I was on the school board. There were these LGBTQ guidelines that were being not adopted by school boards. They weren't even going in front of the public. They were being given to superintendents to implement internally. And they completely circumvented parents. And most people are familiar with them now. But the first time I saw one, I was shocked. And I said, there is no way Brevard would ever allow that. My superintendent is a conservative Christian man. He would never allow this to happen. And what those guidelines did is allow children to sign documents saying they could change their name, their gender, their which restrooms they're using, and even where they wanted to sleep in overnight field trips. And 5 years ago, that was shocking. Today, we all are kind of familiar that this is going on, but that was shocking to me 5 years ago. And I was absolutely sure I wouldn't see it in Brevard. I was off the board less than 30 days when someone texted me, a teacher texted me the new guidelines that were put in place in Brevard County. And it was just that. And I took the screenshot, I put it out on my social, and nobody in Brevard believed me. They were like, Tina, you were such a great school board member. Why are you lying about Brevard Public Schools? They would never do this. And so we had to go publicly share and show and go speak and have them all admit that they truly had implemented those same policies. This is happening all across the country, and it's only escalated in places like California, Colorado, Minnesota. They are now sanctuary states for kids to run away from their families, change their sex and gender. We've got states that say if you don't affirm your child wants to change their gender, they now report you to child services and you can lose custody. It's happening. These aren't hyperbolic stories. These things are happening in America, and you have to wonder why. Why is this happening in America? That's the first thing we have to look out for. The second major problem in America, in my opinion right now, is that we are in an education crisis. If you're not paying attention to that, you need to be paying attention to that. A third of American kids can read proficiently. A third, 30%. Where are we going to be in 20 years with that? We have the lowest reading score since the 80s, the lowest math scores ever in the United States history. 20% of high school seniors can pass a citizenship test. 20% of high school seniors can name three basic facts of the United States. I have a math problem, clearly. I'm like, 4, 3. They can name 3 basic facts in United States history. 20%. How are they going to vote? How are they going to be educated citizens? So when I hear your chaplain say mothers are the guardians of the future of this republic, this falls to mothers. People say, where's the dads? Great, I don't know, I don't care, wherever they want to be. But I'm telling you, Benjamin Rush said, mothers are the future guardians of this republic. If your children don't know the 3 branches of government, if they don't know what's going on and how to vote or how your government is set up, if they don't know the true principles of liberty, we are lost. We do not have another 250 years. We are lucky if we have 10 years. And I'm very, very, very passionate about this, as you can tell. And so that's what moms across the country are doing right now. They are working to get the garbage and the trash and the indoctrination out of the schools, simultaneously trying to get the good in the schools. And I want to say one thing is that Florida has been leading the way from the beginning. From the early onstart, Moms for Liberty launches in 21. Governor DeSantis identifies us. He realizes we're aligned. And we worked hand in hand for those first 2 years to pass the policies that other states are just now learning. They're just now courageous enough to talk about and start adopting. He led the way in that. And because of that, other states are moving along. Some are, obviously like California and New York and Minnesota, Colorado are putting on the brakes, but other states are picking up those policies, so leading the way. But what we see Governor DeSantis doing now, and if you saw the news this week, he announced that every single county in Florida, all 67 counties, now have a civics and debate initiative. He's focusing on civics. He's invested, I think, like $100 million or something around there on civics education in the state of Florida because he got the garbage out 3 years ago. He's been putting a stop to that, but then you're left with a vacuum. So he's making sure that students in Florida will be educated and understand civics. But it's the mother's responsibility. You are there. If you're a grandmother, you are there, and it's your responsibility to make sure your children understand their civic duty. And the best way you can do that is by example. And so you are all here today because you're civically engaged. So I know I'm speaking to the choir, but I always feel like we can do just a little bit more. When's the last time you were at your local school board meeting? When's the last time you reviewed a textbook or a portion of a textbook or a library book? I bet Emily, our chapter chair over there, would be glad for you to reach out to her and sign up to do any of those things. She's got jobs a mile long that she is willing to give you to help make sure that students in Collier County are getting educated, can read. Someone approached me earlier and said they read to first graders. Thank you for that. There's so many things you can do. You don't have to fight in an angry way. You can do positive things like read to kids. Like, that is so important. There's so many great things you can do. And so, the two biggest risks to America right now, as I said, is the threat to parental rights and the crisis in American education. And those are the two things that Moms for Liberty is all in fighting for across the country. And we are winning in a big, big, big way, which is exciting. So here we are at 5 years. I told you how many members and how much growth we've had, but we've also won 565 school board seats in 5 years. And so we're excited about that. It's great news until you learn that there's 13,000 school districts in the country. And you realize what an uphill battle we have. But we are, we're not stopping, we're not slowing down, and we're going to continue to move that and advance that forward until we have school board members that represent parents and families. The other thing we've gotten involved doing is all of the chapters in each state come together and form a legislative committee. And they are meeting, each chapter gets a vote. And over the past 5 years, we've had over 100 bills signed into law in 22 states, which is remarkable too. We sued the Biden administration over Title IX, and we got a federal injunction, which was insane. We don't have the funds to sue the Biden administration. Let me be clear on that. Like, people think Moms for Liberty is so well funded, and that is not the case. But we work hard to beg to find partners that will do it. And so these law firms have represented us free of charge. And this law firm, Southeastern Legal Foundation, represented us free of charge. They went after the Biden administration. And what that injunction did was he had rewritten Title IX, and they were trying to implement it in schools across the country. And it actually said, this is not even what we asked for. When the judge gave this, we were like, what? The judge said, if a Moms for Liberty member's child goes to a school, that school does not have to implement the Biden administration's policies. And so our membership went, pshoo! And so we were like, thank you, Judge. And he wanted us to send the court every 2 weeks an updated membership list. So it wasn't even like retroactive. It was like you could continue to join and be protected from the Biden administration. If that doesn't show you the power of mothers that are working as guardians of liberty, I don't know what does. And so, I'm just going to ask you guys to join us. I know you're busy. I know you do a lot already. You're here. You're civically engaged. We left a card for each one of you on your table. We left you a pen, hopefully. Fill it out. Use the QR code if you're a little bit more tech savvy. Join Moms for Liberty. It's free. It doesn't even cost any money. We would love for you to get involved with your local chapter. See Emily after. She works very hard. I want to give a huge shout out to Representative Benaroch, who was our previous chapter leader. We have, I'm going to say 6 more just like her, but nobody's quite like her. So I can't quite say that. But 5 more very similar to her that were chapter leaders, never involved in politics in their life. They get involved in this, and then they are like, oh, I'm going to run for state house. So we have 6 serving in their state houses. Sam Fett, Representative Fett in Iowa, the minute she got elected, they put her directly as vice chair of the education committee. And they gave her the hardest bill to run, where she got attacked, shouting her down at our church and everywhere else to take gender identity out of their civil code, which was a huge feat. No one else in their legislature would take it. And she said, I don't care. This is for the kids. She stood up. She took it. She won. They got it out of their civil code. And so there are moms that are in the legislatures now across the country are being recognized as strong, courageous leaders that aren't there for political wins. They're there to actually do the good work. And so thank you, Representative Benaroch. We are doing the good work of raising up leaders, not only our children, with this, not a radical love, a revolutionary love. I would say that Moms for Liberty was formed out of revolutionary love because it is for our mothers. And in a revolutionary way, the way we love our children, the way we love our country, the way we love liberty, the way we love our neighbors, and the way that we are looking forward to the future of our country. It is our responsibility as women and mothers to protect this country, to defend liberty, to protect parental rights. And I have said this, and I will say it again. Once we lose the right to raise our children, we've lost our families. And once you've lost your family, your communities are broken. And once you've lost your community, this country, the way we know it, based on godly principles, based on liberty and freedom, is gone. It's gone. And I would say that 5 years ago, we were very close to doing that. Between the COVID tyranny, the the Black Lives Matter, the riots in the streets, the things that were happening in our schools, closing schools and not letting kids in, not letting parents in. And so moms rose up. And it is such an honor to be in a place where I was able to step up and use the skills and talents that God gave me. I'm going to share something personal with a very large room. I was sitting one day pondering with God, and I was saying, I was very sad inside. I'm not a creative person. I can't draw or I'm a woman and I can't create beauty. I don't make flower arrangements. I see all these women around me that make these beautiful things. And I was just kind of beating myself up. Like, what kind of woman am I that I can't make things pretty? Like, what? This is like, why? Oh my God. And it was a moment. And if you've ever had those moments with God, he said, I didn't create you to do that. I created you to organize. It is your job to organize. And this was years before Moms for Liberty. I didn't really know what that meant. But now, 5 years later, after the start of Moms for Liberty, I can look back and I can say, I'm a community organizer like Barack Obama, because God told me that that's what I'm supposed to do. And it's just remarkable in your life to be fulfilling your purpose. This is my purpose. I know it. It's an honor to do it. It's an honor to be with you here today, and I thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not real good with that kind of. I'm told I have to come back up here to take questions. So,
I have a question. You said you had sued the Biden administration. Now, that could be a good thing if you're in a state like Florida. However, when you're in California, where the judges, I'm going to say 80, 90% of them are liberal, and it's almost impossible to win cases with conservative issues. What do you do in a state like California, where it's just almost a lost cause to fight the system there if you're a conservative Christian?
So it's actually not a lost cause. Oh, something happened? There's a lot of commotion. Everybody okay over there? Okay. I would say California is not a lost cause. First of all, our strongest growth right now in our organization is in California. The most energy, the most chapters being launched. If you go on our website, momsforliberty.org, you will see the map lighting up like gold with chapters being launched and member growth. And that's not to say California is going to be fine because moms are there, but it's to say the energy there, the rebellion, I'll call it there, the revolutionary love that's sprouting up there is happening. Like, I think they finally had enough. A lot left, unfortunately, in 2020 era. And so I'm hoping they have enough people to take their state back. But our mission statement at the end says at all levels of government, and we are just now in year 5 understanding what that means. And so we fight at the school board level in California, and we've lost a ton. We've lost a ton of races in California. We've won a ton in certain areas. We have sitting school board members that are Moms for Liberty chapter chairs right now, and they've also filed lawsuits to their state. So the state came in and said, with these LGBTQ policies, to go back to that, the school board was notifying parents, because there are school board members, so they're notifying parents in the district when the kids want to change their gender. The state came in and said, you can't do that. They actually told the school board members they were legally not allowed, that they were violating their civil rights if they told the parents that they wanted to change their gender. And this went on for like almost 2 years, but the appeals court, I'd say about 30 days ago, actually ruled in our favor And so, no, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, I think. It actually went all the way to the Supreme Court. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. And so, California isn't the be all end all. It just takes a whole lot longer, and it takes strategic thinking. And that's the phase I feel like our organization is moving into. We now meet with a variety of public interest law firms, and they have strategies. Like, you have to file in this court and this court so that this kind of case will move forward. Hey, Moms for Liberty, you have 130,000 people. If you could find somebody that's willing to file a lawsuit about this in this district, that will likely go to the Supreme Court and make it the law of the land. And we're part of these conversations now, and it's actually very exciting. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am. The medical freedom you're talking about? Oh, yes. They are physical. She said, do we get involved with the medical industry and what they're doing to physically mutilate children when it comes to changing their genders? Absolutely. And we do that mostly at the policy level. The one thing I've learned, as much as we like to wear our Moms for Liberty shirts and be just like the left sometimes and stand in large crowds and look like we are... I don't know. I'm gonna take back what I just said. We're starting to think a little bit more strategically in Moms for Liberty, and so we're up in our game, I'll say. We absolutely still need to put on our T-shirts in Moms for Liberty and show up in crowds because it impacts the way people think, the way people look at things. It also impacts on how people view issues. So like when I was on the school board, when no one would show up for the conservative values, it looked like our whole community was radically liberal. It's Brevard County. We're 60% red all the time. Every vote doesn't matter. But the only people showing up were radical liberals. And so you're viewing it like it's just that. It's very important that Moms for Liberty continues to do the grassroots in the T-shirt showing up. But in conjunction with that, we have to do our legislative committees because the real lasting, impactful, long change is in policy. And so when it comes to the medical industry, we are working across the country, our legislative committees, to pass bills in states and work with legislators to sponsor them that ban the mutilation of children. And so we absolutely are working in that area.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, John.
Great job. And I love what you said about moms taking responsibility that's theirs, that doesn't belong to anyone else. And I just wanted to ask what Moms for Liberty is doing to empower and educate moms and families about their responsibility to educate their kids. And I'm referring specifically to the idea of homeschooling. But not everyone thinks they can homeschool, and I think a lot more people actually can. But even if they don't homeschool in the traditional sense, just the idea that there are ways to be more involved and responsible for the direct education of your kids. And I think that's, in my opinion, of course I'm biased, but I think that's really important. And I'm wondering what organization is doing to support just the awareness, because I think a lot of people in today's world don't even think that's a thing that exists.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And so at Moms for Liberty, our official opinion is you choose what's best for your child. And a lot of conservative organizations, and I think this is why we were so successful because we're really unique. A lot of conservative organizations say, school choice, homeschool. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's the solution to all of this. And I say, it's great. I think that's the ultimate of how it should be. We're not there. 85% of kids are still in public schools, and these kids are going to be voting in 18 years or less. And so Moms for Liberty's focus always is public school policy because it's vital that these kids know civics and love our country. And so we're not ever going to abandon public schools. However, we do provide tools and resources. We connect people all the time to organizations to start micro schools and to start charter schools and to homeschool. It's not our major focus, but you could go to mfrelacademy.org, and that's where all our training and tools and resources are on that and a variety of issues. Yes, ma'am. I'm terribly sorry. I can't imagine the pain. She said she's the grandmother of a transgender child that she's not allowed to see. And I think the greatest thing that we can do for you is connect you with others that are in your, if you already don't have a support community of others that are living through what you're living through. I don't have solutions for you, except that we're out here fighting that as hard as we can so that other grandmothers aren't in your situation too. Yes, ma'am.
The message that a lot of our kids are getting. And so I don't know, I think maybe something special for the high school to warn them of what that's going to, when they go to college, wherever it is, a state college or even even maybe especially a private college, even in Catholic colleges. I speak as a Roman Catholic. Even in Catholic colleges, it has infiltrated. Even in Villanova University in Pennsylvania, where the Pope attended, quote unquote. Anyway, I was just saying, the high school juniors and seniors, need to have, an army. They need to have arms. They need to have weapons. You know what I mean? Not moral weapons and intellectual weapons to counter all that they're going to learn or try to get in. And also that the people that are around them in the colleges are going to be all rah-rah liberal, rah-rah hate America.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that's two-prong. Back to my plea to moms and grandmas in the home, I think you have to start very young. My two sons, like I said, they used to take pictures at school and send me, like they report and tattle right away because they have the discernment, because they know. And so I think that's vital. But honestly, you can do all the things right as a mother, and this culture pushing on them is so strong that sometimes no matter how much you did at home, it still happens. I will say there's a lot of organizations, Parents Defending Ed and some others that are focusing on the college section. Moms for Liberty, we're so overwhelmed with K-12 and the 13,000 school districts. Like we're really heavily focused in that area. But the way, look at what Governor DeSantis is doing. And that's the approach, civics, teaching what we can, at least getting them trained on the way the government runs. Did you guys see what happened in Virginia? I know you're up here because you want me to get off here, but did you see what she just did with the signing on to the 18 states? Did you see that this week? The governor there, she signed on with 18 other states to say they will support, no matter what Virginia residents vote for president, they will support whatever the popular vote is in the country. They're trying to get a majority of states that get to that electoral number of 272 so that we will then be a direct democracy instead of a republic. And you said moms are supposed to be the guardians of our republic. Is that are we done?
Just have one thing to say.
Oh.
When I first read about Moms for Liberty, they call themselves the Happy Warriors. And we're sure glad happy they are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.